There really is something magical about the way that Mariah knows how to connect people. I think she has a gift for not only introducing people to what we're about, but knowing the people that will be interested, that will, then it's that sort of viral thing happens after that. You know, she mentions it to the right people, and then they mention it, and it just grows and grows and grows.
My name's Mariah McKay, and I was born and raised on the north side of Spokane. So I've lived here for almost 25 years. And gosh, I started Shrinking Violets about a year ago. Some roommates of mine and I had held several women's get-togethers and a clothing swap and a couple of craft parties, and they were really well attended, and people were always so uplifted after the events to meet like-minded, interesting young women, and they were all so excited about whatever it is they made at the party or whatever they traded for at the party, and it always exceeded expectations. And so we thought, gosh, we should really formalize this. We should make it ongoing and make it regular and include more people and scale up. And so that's what we did. We started Ladies Who Lunch in January. We're all about building an intentional community. So we are not a networking group. It's not about trading business cards and hitting people up for business, for sales or for appointments. Or it's much more about learning to appreciate each individual for the unique talents that they bring to the group and their interests, and joining them in their pursuit of their aspirations.
Well, that all depends. No, I think they're just women who are all about creating community.
Everybody should know? Well, that's a secret. I can't tell you that.
It's getting women involved, getting women to connect with each other. Like, no offense to the boys, but that's a pretty cool thing.
When I showed up, it felt comfortable. And so in a matter of like a month or so, I really truly had a whole community of friends. So I really encourage people to just show up. Even if you're by yourself, it's totally safe.
The Shrinking Violet Society is a dynamic social co-op of fresh-minded individuals sustaining creative endeavors. We're dedicated to promoting localism, building intentional friendships, affirming sass and independence, nurturing artistic abundance, and circulating our passion. Woohoo! Cheers! That's all there is to it. So next I would like to introduce our keynote speaker. Her name is Dorn Steele, and she's been living in Spokane since 1968. She is a nationally recognized award-winning journalist and recently accepted a buyout offer from the Spokesman Review, so congratulations, Karen. She's now working on a book, and she was instrumental in exposing some of the goings-ons at the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, which Spokane is downwind from. And she's won so many awards, there are just too many to list. But one thing I really like about Karen is that she is a smarty pants, and she's just not afraid to show it. She's totally confident, unapologetic. Karen has a steely reserve that I really respect and admire. And with that, I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. She should come to the stage. And a little personal note about Karen: she's a fan of Nordic skiing and takes time to get up to Mount Spokane and enjoy the great outdoors that we're so.
Thank you all. I asked, of course, when I heard about the name of your group, the Shrinking Violet Society, I asked Mariah what the genesis of that was, and you've heard a little bit of that already tonight, but I just love that you've named yourselves after a tiny struggling flower in the center of one of my favorite 1970s t-shirts, and I think I still have that Ladies Sewing Circle and Terrorist Society shirt in my basement. And it really is a symbol of some of the really profound changes that came with feminism in the 60s and 70s. And as Mariah said, I arrived here in Spokane in 1968. I was fresh from graduate school at Berkeley and a congressional internship in Washington, D.C. I came here because my husband at the time had accepted a job as a law professor at Gonzaga Law School. I was born in Portland, and I'd never set foot in Spokane. So I have to kind of paint a picture of what Spokane looked like when I came here from San Francisco. There were elevated railroad tracks in the late 60s that towered over the river, where Riverfront Park now stands. Bums slept near the tracks and drank at the really rowdy bars downtown. Women were barred from full membership in most social clubs. The law school had only a few female students. Now it's over 50%. And after living in San Francisco, Spokane seemed to me like it was on kind of another planet, sort of like Avatar, not a very friendly one. But a few years later, there were really some very distinct signs of change here. Spokane became the smallest city to host a World's Fair. It moved those tracks out of the center of the city and opened up the heart of the town, which is now Riverfront Park. And in 1973, Marion Moose opened the Pastime Feminist Bookstore, which was a wonderful place for you not only to buy books, but to get together and talk with other young women and other young men about the social changes going on. And also she was in the Second City Complex, which brought other alternative stores here and international films. And more women were elected to public office and barriers started to fall. And despite its isolation, Spokane became a welcoming place for me as a journalist. I first wrote editorials at the Spokesman Review, but it was pretty conservative, so I left. Then I anchored a public television weekly public affairs show for 10 years. And then I eventually established a career as an investigative reporter at the Review. There were many opportunities here if one knew how to take advantage of them. But one of the things I like very best about being in a newsroom with other reporters, we were all working together on a common cause, which on small salaries, but some great motivation to try to expose wrongdoing and promote reforms in our region. Now, when I look at your generation, and I have children, two daughters in their 30s, I know you have many, many challenges. Higher education has become frightfully expensive for many of you. The recession has made it very difficult for you to find or keep meaningful work. And as the book Bowling Alone described, our society tends to be alienated and angry, with too many people isolated from each other in their pursuit of material success. So I salute the Shrinking Violets for your efforts to buck that trend, to value friendship and creativity and your work to improve our community. For too long, Spokane has suffered from what one economic consultant a few years ago called Spokane nice, which was a tendency for people to be falsely polite while actually trying to undermine each other. Not a very good psychological situation. But recent initiatives, including the work of the Center for Justice on Civil Rights, the opening of the new Main Market, and the Spokane Preservation Advocates' efforts to honor Spokane's history and save significant buildings here are changing this town, and so is your work. So I urge you to continue to keep building community and find new ways to express your conscience, what the Quakers call the small, still voice within. I'm just going to end with a few lines from T.S. Eliot, one of my favorite poets, who said, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and to know the place for the first time."
Values through the vendors that'll be here, lots of awesome local businesses and craft people, and we're all about supporting local business, so there's that. And then just all of us will be here, and it'll just be a way to sort of socially get to know the range of girls that are involved with this, and men.
All the women were gone. Just recently? This is Anyways, what we have here is One World Spokane, and we have chocolate truffles right here and some garbanzo hummus, and these are actually made of garbanzo flour, just some regular bread, all organic though. Trying to get the word out that organics are the way to go, and good for your mind and good for your soul, you know. So just trying to get the good word out there.